back. Yeah, there we go. The rest of the world. Hello, rest of the world. My name is Sean Shapiro, former police officer, now a TikToker full-ish time. No, I'm a lot of different things, but what I still do is contribute to traffic safety by way of sharing content and information. So this live stream is just for that reason. It is me answering your traffic and police questions. Of course, we're also going to talk about other stuff and things. We're going to talk about well, let's see. We're going to talk about employment because during yesterday's live stream, which went on at 10 a.m., it was, let's see here. It was how to get hired and what do you want to know about that? So maybe we wait a few minutes and see if the folks that want to know about employment come into the room. Just shout out. Let me know if you're talking, if you want to know who's hiring and what's going on there. But if you're watching on whatever platform you're on, please follow, please share, please like. But if you are on TikTok in particular, please tap the screen till your fingers go numb. Gotta reach down here and grab my iPad because I want to log in and make sure everything's coming through okay. So we'll do that. How's everybody doing? What's going on? What's shaking? I want to know what's happening in your world. So let's see. Unlucky Hunter says, "Evening, sir." Okay, good. So that a lot of people said they couldn't hear me, but now Unlucky Hunter says, "There we go. Can see you and hear you. Awesome." Lyle wants to know why can't the cameras from the 407 not charge you for speeding if they know when you entered and exit? I agree with you. That technology is used in England. I was there. They use spot metering as well as entry and exit time to calculate your average speed. It is an average speed if they're just calculating your on and off, but it would give you a speed, and that's better than nothing. So I would 100% suggest that we do that, but they're not doing it because they're not motivated to do it. They want people to come on that highway and do what they want and pay for it, and that they're the money-making arm. The police want to promote safety, and they write tickets to change behavior. So it's different motivations. But I could totally see how they could put the technology to use. It makes sense to me. I think it would be a great thing. We got a YouTuber who comes in. It's Yanis who says, "What's good? What's good? What's good? Things are good. I can't complain." I want to talk a little bit about my exercise journey. I have been doing a lot of that, exercising and whatnot, and I'm real happy about it. Let me get rid of that logo. Do we got that logo? We'll get rid of that logo. That's the BTSC logo, but it's going over my Canadian flag, and I don't want anything on top of my flag. Okay. So, yeah, I'll talk a little bit about what I've been doing with the exercise. I see Brandon just jumped in. He says, "Hello, Sean and all. Took the Ford GT to NASA and went down for a few passes down the runway. Hope you all had an amazing day." I did not go to NASA. I was there. I drove to the base. I was really excited to go and see stuff. I wanted to go hit the shop there, the gift shop. They wanted $15 parking for me to go to the gift shop and spend probably $100. So I said I would pass, only because I was there late in the afternoon. I was going to go, just check into a hotel before getting on a cruise. And I was not about to drop $15 to go say hello and not actually go for a tour. So that's that. Oh, okay. Yanis says, "That's my mom's name. My real name is Jacob." What's going on, Jacob? How you doing? But I do want to go back to I've always wanted to go to the Kennedy Space Center. I've never gone for a tour. I think space is cool. I would very much like to check it out, and yet I still haven't done it. So next time, when I'm in Florida next time, actually when I go to Florida next time, I won't have time because I'm going in for a couple of days only. But anyway, moving along. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you want to know about stuff and things related to traffic law, traffic safety, and police stuff, well, ask me because I know stuff and things. Just because I'm not a cop anymore doesn't mean I gave up that whole portion of knowledge. I like to share it. So if you want to know stuff before you do stuff so you don't get into trouble, well, I'd like to help you with that. Let's see what's going on. We've got some comments that have come in. By the way, we are on a number of platforms. Currently broadcasting in vertical, tall screen, the way you're seeing it on TikTok. I'm doing it on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and Rumble. In terms of widescreen, I'm also on X, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Yes, YouTube is listed twice because we're dual streaming on that platform, which means if you prefer vertical, you can see it on a platform that supports vertical. If you want the widescreen, you can see it on the widescreen. And I've yet to have a guest on the widescreen. Sorry, the on the vertical, but apparently we can do that too. Things to play with in the future. Let's see here. We've got Fire Inferno who says, "Hello, Sean. Hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. I'm doing very well, thanks. I had a great meal, and again, I want to talk about that. Let's talk about that. I have been on a mission to get into better shape. If you have been following me for any period of time, you'll know that I became an internet sensation. Okay, I'm not a sensation. I became an internet person because I was injured in a collision. I was in a motorcycle collision in 2018. When I came off the road, I went into looking for things to do to contribute as a police officer in a meaningful way. And one of those ways became becoming an educator online. During the vid, I started reaching out to everybody online and doing what I'm doing with you right now, except they paid me for it. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I was behind a desk all the time. I was not physically active. In fact, with the injuries, I couldn't be physically active, and it's taken me a long time to recover from those injuries. And I started to push harder. I wanted to get more fit, so I started doing push-ups with my kids, but I couldn't do proper push-ups. I'd been out of shape for so long. I had to start by doing it on countertops, and then eventually onto the staircase, and then eventually on my knees, and now I'm doing proper push-ups. I'm very proud of that. Man, I wish I had done push-ups my whole life. I really, if you can do push-ups and you're not doing push-ups, do push-ups. If you can't do a push-up, start today and start doing push-ups on countertops, on staircases, whatever it is, with a reduced load, and work your way up. It's amazing. I got muscles popping out of places I haven't even thought of in a long time. But anyway, that's me. So doing planks and push-ups have been a real game changer for me. I feel fantastic. Knock on wood and all that jazz. Exercise is key. I'm now in the gym and doing cardio as well. So, I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not going to be one, but I am definitely getting into better shape. And I would say I'm in the best shape that I've been since my collision. So I'm thankful for that. And for anyone who's been watching along for the ride since 2018, I'm very happy to be in a better shape. Yeah, better, feel better, be better. And if you're interested in becoming a police officer, I will say that push-ups, you should get used to those now. Because at college, when you get hired, you might be doing a couple or a lot. Let's see here. Unlucky Hunter says, "Did you hear about the officer and his friend that were training for cops for cancer in PG?" PG? I'm not sure what PG is, but how do you train for cops for cancer? So I used to be the chair of the Cops for Cancer board in Toronto. At least it was North York. It was for 32. It was different areas of the city, and I was the chair for my area, and then we amalgamated, and I stayed very involved, and we did a Yorkdale shopping center, and it was fantastic. But I don't know how you train for Cops for Cancer other than growing your hair, which I only grew my hair for Cops for Cancer. If that's training, I used to do a lot of it just because it's hard work to grow the hair. Scale with Rob asks, "Is it illegal if a cop stops you and you're doing Uber and they say not to do it at all?" What do you mean? Like, you don't have an Uber license or you don't have the appropriate insurance coverage? Like, I don't understand what they're stopping you for and saying that you can't do Uber. Obviously, you can do Uber unless there's a bylaw in the city that says Uber is not allowed. That's possible. Tell me more. I don't know enough about your situation to make any judgment. Oh, but do I have where's my gavel? I have a gavel here. We can make judgments. Look at that. My gavel. There we go. Court is in session. We can do that. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Just checking to see what's cooking here. Yeah, do me a favor if you're watching on TikTok. I see Melody. Tap that screen. Let other people come in, because what will happen when other people come in is they'll bring their questions and it'll make the evening interesting. We don't know what else is going on elsewhere in the world. I mean, there is a major incident, or not incident, but stuff going on overseas in the East. That's in the middle. People are talking about that a lot of energy is being diverted for live streaming there. So I can see if people are, not trying to compete with the news, but if you want to know about driving stuff, this is the right place. But that I don't fly planes. Let's see here. We got, Oh, really? Brandon says, speaking of exercise, Brandon did his first run at Disney this past weekend. How was that? I have a friend. He's an officer who goes regularly to do runs. When he does cruises, he runs on their private island. When he's at the parks, he runs the parks. And I'm not a runner. I've never been a runner. I might have to take up running, and I hate running. But things I will do to get a Disney merchandise thing. I will see. Um, okay. What do we got this? Nimi or Nimi, depending on how you want to pronounce things, and I don't know how to pronounce it either way. But can they know if your license is suspended? This is a question about whether or not police can determine if you have a license that's suspended. So just from looking at your vehicle, if the vehicle is registered to you and we do a search, yeah, your license or report of whether or not the registered owner has a license will come back, and if it's suspended, that will be reported, and then a police officer can take action based on that information. But just by pulling you over when they run your license after you surrender it, which is what you're required to do upon demand, then yes, they would be able to see if you're suspended and then lay appropriate charges. So don't drive with a suspended license. It's a bad idea. Also, just gonna put it out there, your insurance company, they're going to deny claims if you're not a licensed driver, because they only insure licensed drivers. If the vehicle is being operated by someone without a license, that person not legally permitted to drive. And if the owner is somebody who knew that they were unlicensed and let them drive it, well, that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay, Joshua, I'll come back to you in just 1 second. Riz Vision messaged me on the gram and said, did you see my DMs about transportation of plutonium? Turns out it's completely legal. Ha, you got nothing on me, Copper. He's a comedian. He's a funny guy. He says, however, while transporting plutonium may be legal, getting the plutonium is illegal unless I get my nuclear material license. There's always a catch, isn't there? He says, I assume I can pick one up at Service Ontario, right? You know what? That's something I've never researched and don't really plan on starting. Riz Vision continues on by saying, doing donuts is illegal, but does it count as donuts if it's a dead end circle and you're just driving in circles? That's not donuts. That's circles. Donuts requires a loss of traction during a turn. Okay, let me get into the question from Joshua. Oh, wait, Muhammad was first. Why everybody turns into second lane while turning right? Because they're all breaking the law. That's an improper turn. You got to turn into your lane closest to you, or so if you're making a right turn, you have to turn into the right lane, the right curb lane. If you're making a left turn, the leftmost lane is where you turn. And if you're not doing that, you're doing something wrong, and you can be charged. So now on to Joshua, who asks, what's your honest opinion on window tint? Why is it illegal? Why is it legal everywhere in the States but not in Canada? Well, hang on a second. I'm going to read this again because I want to focus on something. Joshua wants to know what my honest opinion is on window tint and why is it legal everywhere in the States but not Canada? Well, it's not legal everywhere in the United States. There are conditions everywhere on tint, which windows you can put them, how dark you can put them. They change. Every state has its own traffic code. In Canada, every province has its own traffic code. In the province of Ontario, in order to obtain a safety certificate, you cannot have more than 30% light blockage. That includes the window, the film on top of it, the whole enchilada. If you block more than 30% light, or let me rephrase, if you don't have 70% of visible light being transmitted through the window, you're not safe for the road. Your vehicle can be taken off the road. That means your license plates can be seized because you're not safe for the road. In addition to that, in Ontario, if you cannot see inside the vehicle, you are preventing that actively by putting coatings. And it says the windows left and right of the driver are regulated in that you cannot prevent people from seeing inside. Now, it's let me read you the verbatim short form wording. Hang on. Wait, I got a text I might need to see. Perfect. I was waiting for that message. But that's not the message I'm looking for you. Here's the word I'm looking for. We're going to go into the HTA. And I want to read this to you. So it's drive with window coated. That is is one of the charges. There's 3 charges. Drive with window coated, dealing with the windows left and right of the driver. Drive with windshield coated, view obstructed. That's right, both of those are view obstructed. 73 sub 2. And then the one that's most commonly laid, which is color coding obscuring interior. So you can't obscure the interior. No person shall drive on a highway with a motor vehicle on which the surface of the windshield or any of the any window to direct. Let's try that again. No person shall drive on a highway a motor vehicle to which the surface of the windshield or of any window to the direct left or right of the driver's seat has been coated with any colored spray or colored reflective material that substantially obscures the interior of the motor vehicle when viewed from outside of the motor vehicle. In other words, if you can't see the driver, you can't identify the driver, it's not legal. Now, you can't actually get certified with windshield tint of any kind on a vehicle that's manufactured 2017 or newer. You can have a tint strip only the top 3 inches of the windshield if the vehicle is older or manufactured before 2017. So that's the story with tint. But let's talk about why it's illegal. And if you want to know if your vehicle would be subject to that kind of charge, it's totally up to the officer whether they charge you or not. If it's bright light outside and they can see you and they determine it's okay for them, then they may not charge you. If they can't see you because it's cloudy that day, you would be eligible for a charge. My personal test as a copper on the road was putting up a driver's license. This is my prop for driver's license. It's not a driver's license. This is my lens wipe. If I put this or any other card up against the window and I couldn't read it, it was too dark. That was my test. By the way, I love those lens wipes. I'm totally addicted to those lens wipes because clear vision is not a joke. I want to see very clearly. Which brings me to why it's illegal. When you tint a windshield or the windows left and right of the driver and you make it so that less light is transmitted through, well, light is the information, right? Reflected light is what's giving you the data to your eyes. Your eyes kind of require light in order to see. Less light means less visual information. You see less. It's dangerous. Aside from the fact that you see less, regardless of the argument, oh, I see fine, people can't see you. And I see you and you see me seeing you. Well, I don't see you. I'm on a camera, but you see me looking at you, right? And you see me not looking at you now. But if I had a tinted window in front of me, you may not see that I'm not looking at you. And you may make a decision to cross in front of me thinking I see you when I don't. That's only one of the many reasons that's unsafe. Like, I can't begin to tell you how many people say that I tinted the windows in my 19 whatever car, and I used to have to roll down the windows to see outside at night. Night's a big deal. Daytime, less of a big deal, but still a big deal for nonverbal communication. Let's see here. So, Scale with Rob says, can you get a ticket for working for Uber with your personal vehicle? Somebody told me you can get in trouble. If your vehicle is the vehicle that you registered with them and they've issued you an Uber license because you qualified as an Uber driver and you have commercial license, commercial insurance, I should say, because standard insurance policies don't cover Uber use, then as long as you're operating in an area that allows Ubers, then you're fine. But it's possible not. The pub asks if this is Steve from Minecraft. No. But maybe when I had my long beard, possibly. Darren Gofton wants to know if I trained at Elmer. I didn't train people, but I went to Elmer as a police cadet and graduated. Zero wants to know if loud music is illegal. And there is a charge for unnecessary noise, which is illegal. And that's it. It is illegal to disturb others with your unnecessary noise. But that noise could be an exhaust system that's malfunctioning, broken, or removed, and you're making too much noise from the engine. Could be playing your stereo, honking your horn. Yeah, unnecessary noise includes loud music. Okay, what do we got here? Oh, I saw somebody admit to being a police officer. Let's see where that conversation went to. I see a question from Ink Dreams. We'll come back to you in just 1 second. Ravelan says, do cops care about 20% tint? If you mean 80% blockage, then yes. It all depends on what we're seeing on the road, right? But yes, I can say with confidence that cops care. Not all cops have the time to deal with it, but I think all cops care. Let's see here. I scrolled too far back, so let me catch up to where I was. Twisted Raids 420 wants to know why we can't lower our cars. Well, you can lower your cars legally and safely, in an approved manner with functional suspension. You can't drop them with cut coils and things that just aren't functioning. So the biggest problem when you lower your vehicle and it's not done properly is that you potentially make them unsafe. You may have contact with your body or frame and tire, the combination, which is incredibly dangerous. You may have camber issues where you're no longer making a proper contact patch, making your vehicle unsafe because it's no longer sticking to the road the way it's supposed to. Uh, there's a bunch of reasons why it could be bad. And you have to have a functioning suspension system to keep you stuck to the road. People say low cars, it's like cornering on rails. No, not exactly. A performance vehicle might, but not every vehicle will. And people are taking vehicles that had millions of dollars of R&D invested into making it ride smooth, and then they go and drop it and make it ride silly. It becomes a silly car. People who have to take a 45-degree angle to go up a driveway and then two wheels teeter, not a good move. Ink Dreams wants to know when the next set of MTO drivers handbook read-alongs are coming. My apologies. I had meant to read them last week, and I wanted to do that before I got into a week of being at the Toronto Home Show, which is going to be next week. If you're going to be in the city of Toronto, if you're going to the Toronto Home Show, I will be there for much of the week, almost every day. Sundays I won't be there, but I think I'll be there every day. Otherwise, if you want to come say hello, come check me out. I'm going to be in the booth with the ClearGuard guys. We're talking about home fortification for a week, and we're going to smash some windows and have some fun. I'll probably be live streaming every day from there, but it is going to be intense because it's going to be fun. Okay, intense fun. That's what it's going to be. Anyway, moving along. That's why you can't lower your cars. It becomes unsafe. Can look cool. I'm not denying it can look cool. By the way, aside from everything else I mentioned, there is a maximum and a minimum distance from the center of your headlights to the ground that your headlights must be mounted. So if you are dropping it to the ground and your headlights are 3 inches off the ground, not legal on that alone. And Melody, who is a mechanic, also responded saying you can within reason. It's a good answer. I like it. What do we got here? Oh, Brandon says it was awesome. I did the medal. The medal. It was awesome. And the medal I got after the race was awesome. I did a 10K marathon. I don't know if I can do a 10K marathon. Send me a picture of that medal. I want to see it. It'll be motivation for me to go and participate. You get stuff and things when you run around. Okay. Trent Goulet, great name, says, do cops care about e-bikes here that are over speed limit? More and more and more do they care. Many of them didn't understand that when it goes over 32 kilometers an hour on a flat surface, unassisted by human power, it's a motor vehicle. In fact, it's a motorcycle requiring license ownership and insurance, fines of $5,000 to $25,000 for the no insurance, fines for unsafe motor vehicle, unlicensed, uninsured, like everything. You get everything. So yeah, they totally care. They totally care. And I did training videos to bring people up to speed to understand all the ins and outs of it. Even speed becomes like you can be speeding on an e-bike, but you can't get a speeding ticket on a bicycle. So if your e-bike is incapable of going over 32 kilometers an hour, which is the maximum, if you were in a 20, okay, I don't know about anywhere is there anywhere that's a 20 other than a park? But parks you can still be charged because it's a bylaw. Anyway, not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. Just know if you're doing 50 on an e-bike, you can also get a speeding ticket if that is, let's say you're in a 30 or 40 zone. Apparently it's really dry here. Just going to scroll here and see if I missed anything. Decepticons Forever joined. He says, hey, I made it. Manav Dutt. Excuse me. What's the charge if registration is expired? Well, if your registration is expired, you failed to surrender a valid registration slip. It's $110. And Decepticons Forever says, Toronto Home Show. What I call it. Okay. Raise Alarma. In Ontario, do I have to provide ID as a passenger in a traffic stop? It's a really good question. And I'm going to answer that and also remind that I am going to be speaking about recruiting. So if anyone wants to know about that stuff, shout out because I want to know. I was going to talk about it first, but I didn't hear anybody saying, I want to be a cop. So I didn't go into it. But if you are interested in policing as a career, let me know. We're going to go through all the postings on multiple websites. Okay. So the question was, in Ontario, do I have to provide ID as a passenger in a traffic stop? And the answer is depends. If you are being investigated for an offense, whether that's under the alcohol provisions, saying that you can't have open alcohol, or drugs, if you're being investigated in relation to drugs in a vehicle, if you're being under HTA, if you are being investigated for a seatbelt offense, if you are the subject of that charge, then absolutely you can be asked for identification. It doesn't have to be a driver's license. You may not be a licensed driver, but you do have to provide that information upon demand of an officer. Now, if it turns out that like they can't go around and say, okay, everybody in the car, give me your ID. Why? Well, because we want it. That's not okay. But if it's because you were in, if they are alleging that you were not doing something right, or that you're being investigated in relation to a specific charge, then they can demand it. Okay. Oh, by the way, failure or refusal could result in arrest. If a police officer says, "I need your identification," and identification could be not a card, but just saying, "My name is Bob Jones. I live at 123 Any Street." If that satisfies the officer as to your identity, they provide your date of birth as well, whatever they need to satisfy themselves that you are who you say you are. That would be sufficient. However, if you said, "I ain't telling you anything, copper," that could result in arrest. They have to be able to take you into custody to justify or until such time as they can confirm your identity. Yeah. They can't just give you a ticket for, you know, no name Mary Jane or whatever. All right. Riz Vision says, you hear a complaint about a fellow cop. What do you do? How do you handle it? Do you defend that cop even if you see that cop being dirty? Do you defend your fellow brother in blue? If not, how? We have no room for people who break the law, whether they are civilians or, in fact, especially if they're police. No, if we see somebody doing something dirty, they're going to get reported. No, nobody's going to risk their own career to protect a dirty cop. One, two, we care about our job, our name, our uniform, our brand. If for lack of a better way of describing it, and if we would deal with someone that we caught, it wouldn't get swept under the rug. Okay. Riz Vision wants to know, how do you go about turning them in without making your workplace awkward? We're cops. We arrest people. If we had someone that we could articulate an arrestable offense, I'm sure that would be a very uncomfortable conversation. I'm sure we would call a sergeant and then take adequate response. But I've never had to go there, so I'm not speaking from experience. I'm formulating a plan in my mind based on your question. I've never had to arrest another cop. Thankfully, I've arrested a child of a police officer. Mind you, he was retired, but still, it was uncomfortable regardless. Okay. Some of these bikes are getting faster than actual motorcycles. Electric bikes are motorcycles that have, if they conform to the law, get special privileges. Okay, let me get back to, I've been ignoring TikTok for a little bit. I've been looking at Instagram, but we got Trent Goulet who asked the same thing about e-bikes a couple of times. How big are the fines if you get caught with a Uninen R8 radar detector? Radar detector, $170 plus you lose the device because we have the search and seizure authority under the Highway Traffic Act. What happens if you drive without insurance? Well, first of all, you have no insurance, but it's an offense. The offense itself carries on its first conviction $5,000 to $25,000 in fines. It's up to the court to determine where you go in that. Most people that I see convicted are $5,000 offense winners, but I have seen people go to jail for it. So it's a thing. Not on my cases, but I've seen it. It also goes up after the $5,000 minimum because that's a first offense. Let's see here. Thank you, Melody. She says, stop spamming. He's going to get to you. Sort of scale with Rob. Thank you. Camille wants to know or asks, I got 3 tickets recently. What is this? I got 3 tickets for recently damaged exhaust that was noisy. Any advice for fighting it? Fix it. When you go to court, you can say it had just been damaged, but I fixed it. If you are still driving around with a damaged exhaust, you have a problem because you're breaking the law. By the way, Bergamutka, thanks for the gift. Bergamutka sent a heart, and I appreciate it. I saw you pop up, but then I lost track of things. So just know that any monies received from this live stream go to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. It's a not-for-profit, and we appreciate your support. It's a not-for-profit because I don't get paid for this. Okay. Yes, so that's the advice. You can't create unnecessary noise. And depending on whether or not they believed it, like if they looked at your recently damaged and it was rusted out, they're going to say it probably wasn't recent. They might have evidence against you, and then you may have an issue in terms of defending it. But, definitely fix it. Is it illegal to put lights on the outside of your car? That's from the Ottawa Senators, or at least someone who calls themselves Ottawa Senators 7. Depends. Are you talking about Christmas lights? The answer is no, but what lights are you talking about? Because it could be maybe. Uh, Nunez. Nunes on Rumble says, you have a great way of engaging your audience. Thank you. Let's see here. We have Glenn Caldwell, who has a question. If you have your phone on a cradle on your dashboard and you tap to change a song, is that distracted driving? Actually, yes. The only time that you're legally permitted to access your telephone is the momentary swipe to answer a call and the momentary tap to hang up on a call. And that's if it's mounted in a cradle securely to your car or truck or vehicle. In terms of playing with music, that's considered use and it is completely against the law. So, why is it legal to use the AirPlay or CarPlay or Android Auto that's in your car mounted and connected through Bluetooth or wire? Because one is specifically listed in the law that says it's not permitted, and the other one is permitted. You're allowed to touch your stereo. Now, you can still be charged for using and changing songs or playing with your air conditioning system. If it negatively impacts your ability to safely operate your motor vehicle, I've said that a few times, uh, then that's careless driving. It's not distracted driving laws that would impact you, but it would be careless driving laws. But because there's specific verbiage for cell phone use, you would qualify for the now more expensive charge of handheld communication or handheld entertainment device or screen visible to driver. The only other time you can use your cell phone is if you're using it for an emergency, calling police, fire, ambulance, that sort of thing. And since Glenn had two questions, the second one was, is a photo on your phone of your license valid, or do you actually have to have the driver's license with you? Depends. In the province of Ontario, there is no electronic driver's license that's legal. So if it was when the government was going to, right after the vid, issue electronic ID, it didn't happen. So we still require the actual license surrendered upon demand of a police officer for reasonable inspection. A photo may suffice an officer's personal discretion. Poorly put. A copper may accept it and say thanks very much, but it doesn't meet the legal requirement. You're still required to do it. If they go, don't worry about it, I got you. You're using discretion in accepting it. However, you are eligible for the offense, the charge. Now, what else can I tell you about that? There was something else I was going to make a point. There are places that do issue electronic driver's licenses, and those are legal. So if you're from a state or province that has one, we would accept it. And thank you to Brandon. I look forward to seeing that picture. He sent me a picture of the medal. All right, now let's go back here to boom, boom, boom. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Let me just go back. Let me go back. We got that. We got this. We got, okay. By the way, just a reminder, please on TikTok, tap the screen. We're only here for, I say here for another 20 or so minutes because I got to go out and do something afterwards. Oh. I like the dialogue about muting. Ravelance and Scale with Robert, like talking about, you'll get muted if you keep doing that. And then Melody said, sorry, then Ravelin says, are you a mod? And Scale with Rob says no. And Melody says, I am, because she is. Sorry, I'm just entertained by the dialogue. Knights of Speranza says, I have 5% tint all around and 30% on the windshield, but haven't been pulled over for it in 3 years. What jurisdiction are you in? Are you in Toronto? I'm shocked because if you even got in my like airspace, I'd be all over you like a guy writing a ticket for tint. I'd actually take your license plates. You're unsafe for the road. Anything on the windshield, you'd be off the road. 5% limo tint on the windows, off the road. Like I would just, you'd either be peeling it at the side of the road and then I'd probably let you drive or I'd take your plates. Just saying. And that is a lot of coppers who are on it's unsafe. It's unsafe for pedestrians, it's unsafe for other drivers. It's unsafe. Okay. Stone G, any reason why the police is more focused on tints and traffic tickets instead of serious crimes? Well, actually, they are more focused on regular crime rather than tints and traffic tickets. They're all about serious crime, which is why we have drivers who are completely out of control. We don't have enough traffic officers to properly police the roads. which is why you see speeds of 140 and 150 on the highway, which is why my friends in the Vision Zero enforcement team are pulling people off the road and charging with stunt driving every single day, because there's not enough police to create sufficient fear of risk of getting caught, because they're just too busy on primary response calls. The cops are doing police work, real police work. They're not focused on tints. They're not focused on anything else. The people who are proactively writing the tickets, Vision Zero enforcement team and some traffic-minded officers. Otherwise, it's just not as heavy as it should be. The ticket writing, I think they went to 200,000 tickets a year. It used to be like 500,000 tickets. So just off the bat, we're a lot less focused on traffic than we ever have been. And that's still a lot of tickets, right? That means there's a lot of violators. Okay. Ottawa Senator says, I know Arizona has a 30% limit for tint. Absolutely. Absolutely. Heather Vare wants to know what the tint, why tint isn't safe for driving. It's less light getting into your eye, meaning you see less. It's less information, and at night it's a lot less. I was recently in Guatemala, and when I was driving around in Guatemala, every single vehicle had a tinted windshield and tinted windows, and I thought, wow, first time I'm ever going to go for a ride in one of these vehicles, because every single vehicle had them. It was weird. If I opened the window, it blinded me. But I wanted to take a picture. I'm like opening the window. Oh, so bright. It was so dark, even in the brightest of day. Not okay. It truly. And then we went into an underground parking lot, and I was surprised he didn't hit anything, because I couldn't see diddly. It was so little information being transmitted through the window. We opened the windows and we're sticking our heads out to make sure he didn't hit a wall, because it was an underground parking at a hotel. Let's see here. And yes, Melody says it eliminates nonverbal communication. It's terrible. Try being a pedestrian and looking into the car to find out if that person sees you and if it's okay to walk out and cross. Because I can tell you, with people who driving non-tinted windowed vehicles, I've been people completely out to lunch. Now, at least I could see that they were out to lunch. I thought they acknowledged me, and then they start moving their car. I'm like, whoa, crazy. Mind you, I don't get me started. Crosswalks. C8911, 89, C89. I don't know what my accent just went to. C8911 GTS says, hey, brother, be in a bit. Yes, look forward to your message. Rajdeep Diwali says, sorry, Dhaliwal. Wrong name. I got it the second time. Best advice for someone applying to be a police officer. We are going to go to that in just a second. In fact, before I get too deep into other things, let me queue up the pages, because I had them all open and then we had a power failure and I lost everything. Open another window. Peel police careers. We're going to open another window. It's going to be YRP. Wrong keyboard. YRP. Not TYRP. YRP. Careers. And I think I said OPP was the other one we'd look at. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. OPP, careers. But these are the four police agencies in my neighborhood, essentially, in the Toronto area. And the reason I pulled them up is because we'll talk about them in just a moment. Thank you for the reminder. I want to just have a quick look here. Okay. Really? Manav Dutt says, your voice is similar to Walter White in Breaking Bad. Can you say I'm not in danger? I am the danger. What would be the motivation of that? I am not in danger. I have to watch that again just to see what the intonation is. I am not in danger. I am the danger. Yeah, I don't know. I watched the original series. I didn't watch like the first season. I never watched it after. Okay. Nanu. Les says, how about those 7 cops get charged? I don't know what you want to talk about, specifically about cops. There was a whole bunch of cops. There's a lot of cops under suspension. A number of them have been charged. I have not been looking at that closely, other than there's no space for dirty business, right? There's no place for that in policing. And if they're guilty, they'll be held accountable. They'll take their licks. Let's see here. Rider Sleds 24 says, have you always worked as a police officer, thinking about going into corrections as a stepping stone? If you're capable, and we're going to talk about the employment stuff in just one second, but if you're able to become a police officer and that's your end goal, try out for that first. I have a number of friends who were corrections. I've that are corrections and were corrections and became police members. I wouldn't go that route unless that's what you want to do. You don't need a stepping stone. If you qualify, go apply. Yeah, it rhymes. If you qualify, go apply. Don't waste your time. It's not that it's bad. It's just going to delay you from your goal, and then you'll do what I did because I started as an auxiliary officer. 6 months later, I became a court officer. Then I did both of those for 12 years, and then I became a police officer, trading those uniforms in for one. And it was what was because when I first applied to become a police officer, there was a hiring freeze. And by the time I actually got on, the freeze was lifted. And then stupid me said, you know what? I made a commitment. I'm going to put my 2 years in as an auxiliary, even though they told me I didn't have to. Don't ask me what was going on in my mind. I became a court officer. And I think during that process, they said, you could become a police officer right now. And I said, but I just got hired. Like it was just all at once. And you know what? I gained amazing friendships, amazing experience as a court officer and as an auxiliary. I became a sergeant with the auxiliary. I became a supervisor within courts. And I think both of those things made me a better cop. But if you could just go and be a cop now, I think that's the way to do it. Let's see here. An officer's perspective. One officer in the chat says most people would only charge for tint if you're a character at roadside. I won't quote. Let's see here. I think that's the context. I think that's what we're talking about. Maybe it was tint. If my plate expires, can I renew online? If you're in Ontario, your plate should automatically renew as long as you don't have fines. Let's see here. Okay. We're going to go back here. I see that comment. AS1 line nobody knows about. Yeah, it's 3 inches or to the AS1 line, whatever happens first. That's for tinted windshield brow only on vehicles manufactured before 2017, meaning a 2016 or older. What do we got here? So Rajib Dhaliwal says they don't expire anymore, but they do expire. Well, they renew automatically unless you have fines or unpaid stuff. So they do expire or could expire because they won't renew. Alex Jr. says, fix the mic. What's wrong with the mic? Did the mic stop working? Tell me somebody other than the statement of fix the mic. Okay. Now I'm curious what, let me see. Are we having a microphone issue? Sounds good to me. Okay. Unless there's something I'm missing. What would we do? We're going to come on that in a second. What do we got? What do you see when you scan plates? Standard information. We call it tombstone information. Registered owner will be linked. And of course, information as to whether or not the plates and VIN number. I said VIN number. Dang it. VIN, which includes the N for number. Yeah. What's this? Scale with Rob. I have someone you can arrest. They're scamming. Report it to your local authorities. They need to have it needs to be reported in the jurisdiction you're in. Lots of people talking about Corvettes. Tamim Moin. Is it Tamim Moin? Says someone at work told me Someone at work told me there is a fine if you turn your car on and leave it idling for too long. Yes, there's a bylaw in the city of Toronto. I think it's 4 minutes, but I don't recall. I've never laid that charge. I would not. Like I used to have people come up to me while I was in a police car idling, telling me, you're not allowed to. There's an idle policy, and maybe it's 1 minute. It might be 1 minute idle in the city of Toronto, and then I had to explain to them why we have to leave our computers on, and if we didn't turn the car on, leave the car on, the computers would kill the battery. And then when we had to go save someone, the car wouldn't start. And, it was just dialogue. And yeah. Okay. But there is a bylaw for it. I've just never, ever heard of anybody getting a ticket for it. Neil, I see so many people driving 70 to 80 kilometers an hour in the highways. Are you talking about, is that too fast or too slow? It depends on the road. No one should be going above the speed limit because that's illegal. And if you're driving below, like 80 is a speed limit in Toronto in some smaller highways. If they're driving 80 and an 80, that's fine. If they're doing 70 and 80, that's fine. Just stay to the right. Okay. Have you ever, excuse me. I think I'm getting a cold. That's not fun. West Side said, what did you say about lowered cars? I said that if it's lowered safely and lawfully and within reason, it should be fine. If it's lowered illegally, unsafely, and unreasonably, you may find yourself getting charged for unsafe motor vehicle. How often do you guys ask motorcyclists for M license? Every time they get pulled over. If you get pulled over on a motorcycle and you're not licensed for a motorcycle, you get charged for drive without appropriate endorsement or no license, depending on what you did to get pulled over and what license you have. What is this? What? Okay. What's your thought on a cop that consistently pulls someone over every day, waits to stop you? Twisted Raids wants to know. If the same police officer is pulling you over every day for an offense, you shouldn't be committing that offense. If the officer is pulling you over every day, for nothing, that might be harassment. You may want to, talk to somebody. It sounds fishy to me. Okay. Tamim wants to know if it's illegal to drive a car with a knocking engine, just because your vehicle knocks and doesn't have good sounds, and that I don't think it's illegal. I can't think of anything that would cause an issue. If it's making huge noise, it could be an unnecessary noise issue. Who has the right of way on an advanced left turn? The advanced right turn, if you know what So if you've got a green and they've got a red, you've got the priority. You should be turning into your lane, and they should be turning into their lane if they believe they can complete their turn safely. And if it doesn't work out in the middle, it'll depend. Primarily, the person with the green light's going to have more right of way. Caden says, can you drive an e-scooter or e-bike on the sidewalk? If not, what about a wide trail? So every jurisdiction is going to have different rules. For instance, in York Region in Toronto, you're not allowed to drive a bicycle on the sidewalk, never mind an e-scooter. So e-scooter being a bicycle would still be a situation. Now in Toronto, e-scooters, the stand-up ones, totally prohibited. You can't be on the road or the sidewalk. But e-bikes are bikes regardless, as long as they comply with the law. So yeah, you can't be on the sidewalk. And wide trail depends on the jurisdiction. In the city of Toronto, if you have a pedelec, you can be in parks, but e-scooters and e-bikes cannot be. E-bikes being ones that look like motorcycles. In fact, if you go to the City of Toronto website, you can get more information about that. Can you get a ticket for not wearing a seatbelt on private property? No. Sheffy says, desk cop, not a real cop. If you can read, it says not a cop at all. Former cop, even better. Work on that reading thing. Let me see here. What else? What? I don't know what that is. Kays wants to know if you do you do racial profiling? No? Well, what kind of question is that? Racial profiling, not a good thing. Brian says, can you put a ham radio in your car? Yes, of course. I'm a ham. Happy ham. If you don't know what a ham radio is, it's an amateur radio. And if you have a license, you can absolutely put a ham radio in. In fact, even if you don't have a license, you can install a ham radio as long as it's low power. And you cannot transmit it without a license. You need a license to transmit. But that's cool, Brian. Did you just get your license? Did you know that there's an exemption for hams? That's a cool thing. If you didn't know, and there's an exemption under the Highway Traffic Act allowing amateur radio operators to use their radios while they drive. Kind of like one of the only times you can do stuff. A license to talk. We have Sean, we have the typical citizen arguing with me. Imagine the confidence behind a phone screen. Yes. Luke says, only 110. I was told 600 when I got pulled over. Apparently I missed a bunch of stuff, and I apologize because I'm going to keep going because I want to talk about the recruiting, and I really have what are we at? We're at 53 minutes. I have 8 minutes left. I'm going to try and find a couple of really good questions here in the chat, and I apologize. Anyone who doesn't get an answer, please feel free to join me next Tuesday at 10 a.m. or next Wednesday at 9 when I have more time and won't be running to the next thing. Actually, all next week I'll be at the home show. I'll probably be doing some live streaming from there. Kevin Ben wants to know if you can put a catless downpipe on my car. No, not legally. Get some good tickets. Didn't like 7 Toronto officers just get arrested or fired? They didn't get fired. They got a number of them got arrested. Some of them were suspended without pay. That's all before the courts. I don't know the details any more than anyone else reading the news. They're allegations. Hopefully, they're not accurate. If they are, those people don't deserve to have badges. And that's as simple as it gets. Decepticons Forever says my shirt looks like limo tint. That's what it is. Ah, we got. Have you ever had has ever have someone get off scot free in court and you were like, "Oh, come on, judge." Yeah. Yeah, that's Riz Vision asking the question. And the answer is absolutely. And my favorite example of that to would be that I gave great evidence. It was a guy using his phone. You could see the phone from outer space. It was clear and cut, and I gave like my best performance. And at the end, and then the defendant said that he didn't use his phone. And the justice of the peace said, I trust the officer, and the officer gave great evidence, and the driver gave great evidence, and I'm going to give the driver the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, what? What? Come on. But you know what? That's their prerogative. They can do what they want. That's the difference between the person giving evidence, writing tickets in the justice system, and the person who has the control in court. Okay. Okay, what do we got here? We got, hello, Sean. I have a parking spot with Spot Hero, but I got an official TPS ticket. I have a parking spot with Spot. I don't know what Spot Hero is. So you have to explain it to me, Justin. Send me a DM. I don't know what that is, but Edgy McCabe, maybe we'll do a video about it. Spot Hero, is that a parking rental thing or is that an app? Tell me more, because I can't give you advice or comment on it without understanding what you're talking about. Caden, have you arrested anyone famous or known? I don't know. I don't think so. I did give someone a break and regretted it later. It was a news guy who's on City he ran a stop sign, and I gave him a break, and I wasn't happy because he's annoying. But anyway, but I recognized him. Like, I know you, but I didn't really know him. Then I went and watched him. Like, I should have given him a ticket. Okay, Jordan wants to know about joining. What do you got here? Type of lights. Most common misconception about something that is illegal but is not. Driving with barefoot, it's not illegal. Everyone thinks it is. Driving with your interior lights on, everyone thinks it's illegal, but it is not. Yeah. Neither are good ideas. What is distracted driving compared to being on your phone? Using your phone is distracted driving, especially in Ontario. That's a very specific thing. But elsewhere, picking your nose could be distracted. From what I understand, in other jurisdictions, like in Alberta, drinking water could be distracted. Okay, before we completely lose track and I lose my ability to discuss stuff and things. Oh, actually, you know what? This is going to be interesting. So, apologies to TikTok because I cannot share my screen that I'm aware. Well, okay, let's see. We're gonna try. Can I do this? Will this work? Let's do it this way. I'm going to share my screen there. Maybe. Oh, that's interesting. Will this work better? Ew. Yeah, that kind of works better. We'll do this for me, and I prefer to be on that side. Okay, let me see if I can do this with TikTok as well. Will it let me do this thing? I don't know. I've never tried this. Stand by. Can I share screens? What's that? Sound effects? No, don't want that. Scenes? Add source? Let's try this. Window capture? Woohoo! I have no idea what's going to happen. This could be really messy. Add. No, don't want that. Don't want that. Google. This might actually work. Add source. Allow. Okay. It didn't do anything. I have no idea what I'm doing here. Oh, wait, maybe I can do this. Huh? Oh, I got to make a box? Oh, okay. This is annoying. I'm thinking very quickly. We'll talk about it. I'll read it. TikTok, apologies. I'm just going to, hold on a second. Maybe I got to bring it up to the front. Ah, there it is. Look at that. It worked. I guess this means I need to do this to continue to be seen. Okay. Toronto Police, this is tps.ca/careers. Obviously, if you go here, you can look about into police constable, special constable, parking enforcement officer. These are the big name jobs, the primary things you think of when you join a police service. Obviously, police constable is the primary. Special constable is what I started as in terms of paid service. That's a court officer. When I started, now it does. They do a lot of different things. And if you are interested, let's say you can't be a police officer because you're colorblind. Well, you can still become a special constable to the best of my knowledge. At least when I started, a lot of people went the route of special constable if they didn't have proper color acuity, is the terminology. So, parking enforcement officer, great job. They keep our city moving. And maybe you don't want to have the same kind of, responsibilities as someone who goes out and puts hands on somebody. Because parking enforcement, they write tickets. They really do help people. Now, communications operator, those are the people who answer the phones, a civilian job, non-uniform. And then auxiliary, if you want to volunteer, if you want the best volunteer opportunity, as far as I'm concerned, in the world, this is where you go. You go and apply to become an auxiliary officer with whichever police service is local to you, so you can go out and do stuff. Because being far away does not help you. But I did that for a long time. Now, the reason I put this on the screen and what I think is so interesting are the jobs that don't make it to the front page. Nurse in the wellness unit. Did you know that there was a nurse in the wellness unit position? We have all sorts of people that work to support the police. And if you are qualified to take on that role, or if you know somebody who's looking for a great job, nurse at the wellness unit, volunteer chaplaincy. If you got a spiritual leader, I have a friend. I met him after he became the chaplain, but I have a friend who's a chaplain. Actually, I was friends with the previous chaplains. Great people. They come out and support police officers and help people in the community. Then communications operator. That's that's on the front page. And DC wants to know if I own ClearGuard. No, I do not. I work with them, but I don't own the company. ClearGuard, though, if you are looking for home fortification, they're awesome. Just saying. I'm totally biased, but just saying. All right, let's look at Peel Regional Police. Now, one of my listeners, one of my followers, my viewers, one of my friends, he was inspired to become a police officer after being involved with the show. He would come on every day and say, your Brazilian fan is watching. Well, he became an auxiliary with Peel, and then he became a police officer with Peel. And I went to his ceremonies for both when he became a auxiliary constable and when he became a police constable. And I'm so proud of him and so proud to have been part of his story, because he was motivated. He wanted to work with me at Toronto Police Traffic Services. That was his plan. So here, but we all know about cops. Let's look at the civilian careers. I want to see if they have any postings. Crime analyst, communications support. These are the jobs you don't hear about. Not everybody wants to be a cop, but you could get involved with policing and serving your community, even if you do it as a civilian. I just want to make sure that did I lose my other page? Where's my page? Here's my page. I'm going to move this down here. I'm going to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay. So we talked about that. Let's look at YRP careers. Okay. So obviously, auxiliary and special constable, police constable. I'm not even going to look at numbers. We're going to go look into the salaries and stuff. We'll look at Toronto because I know their website in and out. But again, I want to look at those civilian professionals. What are those opportunities they have? Where is it? Show me more. Maybe they have nothing posted. Didn't I press the right thing? Civilian careers portal. Apparently, maybe I have to go here. It's 10 o'clock. I said I was leaving. Apply for a civilian career. I want to see the career. Okay, no. Okay, they don't have any civilian jobs right now, but they're hiring auxiliary constables. If you're in the York Regional, in the area of York Region, that's a great opportunity. They're all hiring experienced officers. Someone who used to be a police officer or is currently a police officer wants to move, they can do that. And cadet in training if you're new. Okay. OPP with their black and whites. So become a police officer. We got that. Experienced police officers. Everyone wants to take the experienced officers. I have a number of friends. So once you're a police officer, you're a police officer. And you can take that information, those credentials, and go to a different police service. You move. I have a friend who went from Toronto to Sarnia to the OPP, 3 different badges in his wallet over time, right? Different things. Okay, this is what I wanted to see. Current civilian opportunities. They have court officers, senior financial analyst, talent pool. I guess that's temp. They have temps as well. We do something like that with Toronto. Range and business inspector. I imagine that's in relation to shooting ranges. And they would inspect, I would assume, different places that are licensed to be to work as or to operate ranges. Okay, what I want to get into now is police constable. That's what most people want to know about. Oh, and Tessa says, I'm a nurse. I'll have to look into that. Awesome. Check it out. There's so many ways to serve. And some of those have opportunities that are remote. Just saying. So let's look at police constable. Things you should know. You have to be a Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada. I believe most of this will be the same for all services. There may be some differences. Canadian citizen or permanent resident. Unlike the United States, because you must be a citizen to be a police officer in the United States. Canada will allow permanent residents, which I think is awesome. Excuse me. Apparently I need water. Agua. Okay. 18 years old. It used to be you had to be, I think, 21 to carry a firearm. Apparently now you can be 18 and join. You have to be physically and mentally able to perform the duties of the position, having regard to your own safety and the safety of the members of the public. Good moral character and habits, meaning that you are an individual that others view as being trustworthy and having integrity. You have to have at least a grade 12 education, secondary school diploma or equivalent. Now, it says here a university degree, a degree from a college, or a degree from an Indigenous Institute. I do not believe that is a requirement because they keep flip-flopping. When the premier had come in and said we were going to pay for the education, because I had to pay out of pocket for the Ontario Police College. For 3 years, they were giving that for free. The province was absorbing it. I don't know if that has changed. They also said that grade 12 was the only requirement at that time. One of the following conditions. So one of the following would be secondary school. And it's worded to suggest that or the person has a degree. I'm guessing it's one of those. Well, obviously, if you have one of them, you qualify. Okay. Then it also says the person has a diploma or advanced diploma by a college. The person is being granted a certificate. I think that's really bad wording. I don't want to say that too loudly, but I think it could be worded better. Minimum. Grade 12. In addition, you must have no criminal convictions for which a pardon is not being granted. Possess a valid driver's license with no more than 6 accumulated demerit points, permitting you to drive an automobile in Ontario with full driving privileges. If you can't maintain a license, how on earth are they going to put you in a police car and tell you to go enforce the law? Because you're not, paying attention to the laws there. So anyway, that bugs me. Okay, have a current CPR first aid at the time an offer of employment is given. Possess a valid OACP Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police certificate. Successfully pass hearing standards as outlined by OACP. Minimum 20/40 uncorrected vision with normal color acuity. I like that word, acuity. Be able to pass a security clearance as well as a background investigation, credit and reference checks. Credit and reference checks. They're going to ask you who your neighbors are, who your friends are, who you hang out with. They're going to ask you all those uncomfortable questions. And the one about credit, if you've got bad credit, might you be someone who has a problem spending money? And might you be the target of someone manipulating you through your financial stuff? I don't know a better way to say it. But if you have terrible credit and you might need money to pay for that credit, might you be willing to do things that you probably shouldn't do? You become a risk. That's how I would put that. Let's see here. Physically and ready and able. Physically, no. Be physically ready and able to achieve stage 7 on a shuttle run and pass the prep test. I actually liked that pursuit restraint circuit. Hated the shuttle run. Obviously, you're going to work shifts. We know you're going to do policey stuff. This is the current posted salary as of July 2025. You get hired. Tell me a job that when you get hired, you go to school and get trained on how to be what you've been hired to be, and they pay you $72,000 a year. That's pretty awesome. Some people say that's too much. I say it's pretty awesome. EP says, who would really want to become a police officer in this messed up world? It's the best job in the world. It's the best job in the world. You get to help people. Every year or so afterwards, you bump up. So you get top pay of 119, call it 120. I don't know why we can't round up. Why do we have to be 119,937? Can't you round up or round down like 119,9, but 119,937? It's not good for advertising. And then you get benefits and pension plan and stuff like that. It's a process. You apply, you go through screening, you get a background check and interview, and if you pass everything, offer of employment. Pre-application, this whole concept of general information sessions, these are really important to go and get information. Learn about the police service you want to join. I must say, it's kind of important. It's important because if you don't, how on earth will they take you seriously? You can't go there and learn on the go. Research, learn. If you care about this, if you want to do it, do it. Like take it seriously. Go investigate. We have here questions, and I've got to go shortly, so I'm going to take some questions about this. The question is, I'm 21 years old, a university student, only 1 year, and extremely struggle to afford school. I want to be a PC. Is it worth applying and trying to go to school part-time while working? I have some experience. I would say if you qualify today to pass and become a police officer, apply today and become a police officer. You can go part-time. I went part-time and upgraded some stuff after getting my diploma because I got in with grade 12. I got my diploma in police foundations, leadership, and my intention was to go to Guelph Humber and get my justice studies program. At the time, they were even willing to support and reimburse for portions of it. Yeah, you can do it part time. You're going to work half the year, 7 days on, 7 days off, 4 days on, 4 days off, whatever the case is. There are programs specifically geared towards police officers to help them. In fact, you get advanced standing after you graduate. So I have a friend of mine who got their doctorate part time whilst also working as a police officer. Totally, you can do it. Let's see here. The follow up was I have experience as a peace officer in a seasonal role. Oh, right on. Listen, it can't hurt to apply, right? If you and the idea of working towards passing, let's say that you have maybe physical or experience or whatever the case is holding you back, you get to work on those things, but maintain your physical fitness and keep trying. But I would just go for it. Okay. I see Mon says, my son is currently RCMP training and he had to jump through a lot of hoops to get there. No question. It's a competitive process. It's not something you walk up and say, I want to be, and they say, welcome, grab a uniform, we'll get you on the road. No, it's competitive. And it's challenging. And people question why they chose to do it as they're running and they're being pepper sprayed and they're wrestling around and being handcuffed and fighting. And there's all sorts of parts that really challenge you. It's a challenge. And when you come out the other end, you're a different person. You are absolutely better, stronger for everything you endure. I think that like I got a chance. So I became a auxiliary constable. That's a volunteer position. I did part-time training to learn basic stuff. It was by no means a full police training, but it was familiarization. It was interesting. It was fantastic. And at the end, actually at the beginning, I got a uniform and I was out helping people in the community with the supervision of police and nothing that was putting me in harm's way. And then I became a court officer 6 months later. And that was more training and more experience. Every one of those experiences made me, or brought me closer to becoming a police officer. I think, even though I could have gone straight through had I just made different decisions. But I didn't, and I am where I am, where I was, and all that jazz. Just a question: can I use FaceTime when I'm driving? No, no, you can't. Okay, there were some questions about employment specifically. I'm just trying to find them. Interesting. User wants to know if all police agencies should have a Me Too clause. I mean, a lot of them do have it, but I don't know how that works. I've never been involved with the negotiation of stuff and things. Um, Notification wants to know if we're going to get a Netflix series about the allegations. It's big news. Maybe, who knows? Brandon wants to know if break-ins are becoming more common in the GTA. Sadly, there's lots of them, and I get a lot of feedback through ClearGuard as to what's going on and how many of the clients of the company after but without they become clients because of a break-in attempt or a successful break-in, or they become clients and then oddly enough, they still get an attempt, and we get some great footage from doorbell cams. By the way, if you don't have cameras, get a doorbell cam. They don't have to be expensive ones, but I've seen such tremendous high quality video from people just trying to get into these windows after they've been treated, and they don't have very much luck. What is this? 405 Kevin says today's cops are useless. Well, you're going to have to say more because to say cops are useless is simply inaccurate. It's untrue. I mean, you may have your biases and you may believe that. But you need to say more. Why do you say that? Is it because the law puts provisions on police that the bad guys don't have to follow? Okay. Because the courts are having issues. Not as many people are being, dealt with in the way that you would see fit. Maybe. Apparently, there was some glitchiness according to Melody on TikTok. Is underglow illegal in Canada, specifically only white? If you're shining white to the rear, it's illegal. You can only shine white to the front. The only white light that can be on the back of the vehicle is your license plate light, and it can't be that. It's a 3 candela. So the point of that is that if it's down and glowing, it's questionable. Some coppers will write you a ticket, others won't. Is there a way to look up old police reports from the 80s? Probably not. Maybe it's on microfilm, so maybe a freedom of information request. Brad, you're right about the average speed. It is crazy. People are speeding way too fast. Okay. I'm scrolling through looking for the police related or the recruiting related questions because Oliver wants tips for the G1. Read the book. I was doing a program where I was reading along with you, but it's 20 questions of signs and 20 questions rules of the road. It's just the start. So even if you get it, keep reading. Where were you on the job at? I was with the Toronto Police at Traffic Services when I left. Every cop, what is this? Patron says every cop gets off every time. So what's the difference? No, they don't. That's inaccurate. If someone's guilty, they get held accountable. Smarty Marty says, do you miss working? I still work. I just don't work as a police officer anymore. I've been doing a lot of work for myself as a consultant and doing a bunch of different stuff. So I don't miss working because I still work hard. But I miss being a police officer because I miss the job. It's amazing. Oliver says, I saw a cop on their phone in their car a few days ago because they're legally permitted to. Police, fire, ambulance, they are permitted to use their cell phones, handheld communication devices like radios, their laptops. They're actually specifically exempt. So they're allowed. What is this? Then which division do you work? That was Ankit who wanted to know. I was TSV. I'm no longer a police officer. Am I enjoying retirement? I am, but it's not really retirement because I work like crazy. Yes. Honorable Mayor McCheese, how's it going? Smoking cigarettes while driving, is it an offense? If someone is under the age of 16 in the car, it is an offense. Smoke Free Ontario Act makes that an offense. Is it illegal to have a different motor in my car than it came with from the factory? No, but if it's a different displacement or different Number of cylinders that would have to be reported. Your insurance will need to know because they could deny claims if you were to be involved in a collision and it wasn't what you told them it was. What happens if you get caught driving with no insurance? Aside from it being a very bad and expensive day. So, first of all, you're going to probably get towed because you can't drive away. Secondly, you're going to get charged with an offense that carries a five to $25,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail. So there you go. Uh, scrolling. Robert says, "Hi, Sean. Hi, back at you." Okay. What age should I realistically apply at? Used to be 32 is the average age being hired. Now people are getting in way younger, like not right out of high school, but way younger. I don't have a specific number to tell you though. Try. Ottawa Senator says my dad was OPP for 5 years and he moved to the RCMP in Calgary and was chief of police. Right on. Should be very proud. That's very cool. That's a whole lot of. That's a whole chief is a big deal. Let's see here. We got. If we have two speeding tickets and a 50-50 collision, can I still join the OPP in the GTA? 50-50 collision, that's where you 50-50 responsibility. That doesn't prevent you from being a police officer. Two speeding tickets, depending on how dated they are, how many demerit points you currently have in your license. Listen, people, I had tickets when I joined. They were old, but if you change your behavior and you choose to follow the laws, you should be okay. If you can say that you've changed based on those tickets, absolutely, it's part of your story. Okay. And what do I need on my resume for them to look at me? Well, constant learning, constant employment, and volunteering is big. Serve the community, whether you're being paid for it or not. So if you care about the community, you should contribute to it as a volunteer. If a light turns red as I'm inside the intersection, enter during a yellow, fight the ticket. So running a yellow is against the law. Unless you were past the point of no return, unable to stop for that safely, then you were supposed to stop for the yellow. So if you hit the gas to go through the yellow and then you turned red, you went through a stale yellow. You probably should have stopped for the red or the yellow, and then you probably should have stopped for the red too. But there's nothing to fight. Like, what they charge you? Like, you didn't run a light if you entered on the yellow. So yeah, you could, if you were charged for running a red light, but you entered on a yellow, that would be inaccurate. Could they adjust it to be running the yellow? It's up to you. You wouldn't have been getting a red light ticket though. Like, you would, if you entered on a yellow, it wouldn't be a red light ticket. If it's a camera ticket, it wouldn't have ticketed you had you entered on the yellow. It only applies if you cross the line on the red. A lot of mumbo jumbo. I went off topic, but I think red RLC for red light camera. Okay. Talked about that. Anthony, good point. Apple CarPlay cuts off FaceTime when driving if you are connected to it. If you don't have CarPlay, it wouldn't. You were wearing Bluetooth headphones, it would still work. Okay. EP says, I saw that Peel Police are looking to hire security guards. Why would police service hire security? I don't know. Are you talking about court officers? I thought I saw a court officer there. One of them was hiring court officers, but not security. And they do hire special constables for court purposes to be the security in courthouses and prisoner transportation and all that jazz. But I don't know if they hire security guards in particular. What do you think about people running expired temps? They shouldn't be. They should be charged. Okay. Zach says, thank you, my goat. Are you allowed to use a paper license plate? No. You can't have a reasonable facsimile. It's got to be the real thing. Oliver says, getting my G1 in a week, just finishing your young driver's e-learning. Cool. Young drivers was great. I did it when I was a kid. When I was 15, I did it. What do you think of other services around Toronto? They're all great. I mean, there's different things. Toronto's the biggest. I think it's the best, but it's a thing. That's funny. Freeway Rick. And is that my Cyrillic alphabet is out of practice? No, I'm not anyone's uncle. Well, I am an uncle, but I'm not their uncle. Anyway, Fewer questions about employment than I thought at the end. So I'm going to say we're good. I went a little overtime, 20 minutes. I got to go because I've got to head out and meet someone. But you know what? It's been a blast. I will be back. When will I be back? I will be back Tuesday at 10 a.m. Maybe some live spots from the home show. If you want to come say hello, let me know. I'll be at the home show pretty much every day. Yeah, not there on Sundays. Ew, that's not centered. There we go. And if you're going to drive safe, drive sober, follow the law. It's the easiest way to avoid tickets. If you got questions, you can always send me a DM. You can comment on the videos. I try and get through and answer everything. It's just the way I roll. Stunt driving bad. Oh, yeah. Is there anything that can get your license permanently taken away? Stunt driving for sure. 3 convictions, you're out. All right, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.